It is I, Tantus Nar van Dracovin, Lord Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue my discussion on the clans and bloodlines of Vampire the Masquerade. Well, let's continue where we were talking about, and let's talk about one of the bloodlines of the Ravnos, the Kinyonyi. The Kinyani are a legacy of Laibon, and they masters the disciplines of animalism, chemistry, and fortitude. They take their name from the Lugrad name for a bird, kind of hinting on the fact that they have that they tend to wander around a lot, and they tend to seek knowledge. Now, they usually work as messengers, seekers of various items, and people that will do jobs, both legal and illegal, for other legacies. So they tend to get along with all the different legacies because of their nature of basically being the go-to odd job kind of group for them. Now, it is said that they migrated from the east long ago, and by the east particularly from where the Ravnos come from, India. So this is one of the non-native legacies that is in fact integrated quite well into the Laibon. Their use of chemistry actually hints heavily at their connection to the Ravnos. It shows that they are indeed in fact a bloodline of them, though now very well integrated into the Laibon. Unlike many of the other Laibons, they tend to be very loose in their embraces. They look to people that are either self-sufficient or have mastery over some kind of skill that they find useful at the time. So as you can see, they don't have very strict hierarchies for who they embrace from. Now, they do maintain a very loose network between all of them, basically allowing them to communicate. Should one of them be missing, let's say, an item that they require, they can easily connect up with the network and find another one of their kind, another Kinyani, that will be able to provide them with said item. They also use this network to trade notes, stories, and business tips. So they do tend to have this communication between all of them. They are in fact welcome in any area and could easily stay in those areas for a long period of time just for the natural way that they are welcomed. But they tend not to. They have this weakness that they tend to open their mouths and say things that they shouldn't say very easily. This means over longer periods of time, they have to worry more and more about saying something that will get them basically insult the wrong person and get them hunted down. So that is one of the main reasons that they tend to wander around a lot, is that they very easily can be insulting just by the nature of themselves. They're prone to the slip of the tongue. Also, a number of years ago, we saw a mysterious affliction that happened to a member of their bloodline. Effectively, a bunch of them lost control and began to attack others, went into this kind of frenzy based upon their blood. Some diableries were a result of this, and some frenzies that were quite dangerous. They lost a good number of their group, including a good number of elders, especially them more than all. But the group has survived. Now, granted, this means that they've basically many individuals have separated themselves from the hierarchy of the legacy as it remains, seeing that there's a danger that possibly this could occur again. Very few of them realize that this is most likely a result of the Ravnos antediluvian waking up and his connection to chemistry, driving a few of them to this madness, similar to the Ravnos. So this is something that here in the Laibon, they don't have the same kind of connections to realize that this is the reason behind this danger. But that's it for today. I introduce you to the Kinyonyi, one of the legacies of Laibon and that of Ravnos. And this is actually one of them that we can directly trace from the clan that it's a bloodline of. Many of the others, we can see their connections from their abilities and the natures of them, but the actual direct descendantship is hard to tell. This one, we knew they migrated from the east to here at a point in time, and they were introduced. They are one of the legacies that have basically instilled themselves into the Laibon successfully by coming up with a job. They're the gofers of the Laibon. Now, of course, they have had their share of problems. They themselves have a tendency, a weakness of basically not being able to control their mouth. A weakness of words, which tends to get them in trouble in a lot of places. They speak their mind a lot, without any kind of stopgap measures in their brain. We also saw that they suffered from the same curse of the awakening of the Ravnos antediluvian, that it drove a number of them, not all of them, to this frenzied state. So you can see there was a resistance because they're only a bloodline and not a direct descendant. They have altered enough that only a number of them suffered from this. Of course, it caused damage to the legacy, but it survived, lost a good number of numbers, but they can repair themselves. They aren't as devastated as the Ravnos are. And we can also see, though, this has broken some of the hierarchy of the legacy. Their network, as connected as they were, there are individuals that have basically taken a step back in order to protect themselves, to fear that this might happen again. Because very few would know about, even think about the fact that the Antediluvian woke up to cause this. It's just something that isn't considered. It's also not considered because of their loose connection to this group. But if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It should support the channel, the Empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you can always check out my Patreon, link description below. There are some great rewards there. It helps to grow and improve the channel. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.